Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Hope you're doing well today, March 26th, Tuesday. So much on the internet, hey? So much and so little all at the same time, right? Yeah, it's a lot going on in these social media streets. And I'm conflicted as to whether or not I want to speak more on it or even touch on it at all from my post earlier. My post, which by the time you see this has already been posted, where I reposted my video from yesterday. If you tuned in, then maybe you caught the correlation of the current events and the breaking news of yesterday and how it may have related to what I was talking about. Case in point, as I pointed out on the community post, right at 37:40, I actually say this feels like industry shit or something to those lines, to something to that effect. I literally had absolutely no clue what I even said also in that message, that I paint pictures figuratively with broad strokes, that it could be something very literal and actual. It could be a more broad possibility of perspective or whatever, and it could be a range of things, it could even be your own personal story. And certainly I feel like that it could be all of those things, as a matter of fact. And Diddy is just kind of the face of a much bigger, broader message right now, because he's a public figure and, more or less a spectacle to draw attention to and on, which brings me to my first point. So I guess I will kind of say this. Don't be distracted, literally every other post on probably every social media feed right now, but certainly even on YouTube, is Diddy's house got raided, Diddy this, Diddy that, and even yesterday as I tapped into it, I didn't know that I was, but when I watched it back today, I was like, oh shoot, there's a lot of synergy in what I was saying and what was happening, probably at around the same time that I was recording the message, if not shortly after. And if you know by now that I'm not one to really be jumping in on every social trend or breaking news, particularly of pop culture. That's just not my thing. If it comes up, naturally, and sometimes it does, then I speak on it. But it's not my interest. It's not my come from. It's not it. But I certainly recognize when there's a synergy in storylines that have a broader and more profound message, and I do believe his is one. And it's not the first time that he's come up in a message. He's come up before randomly in different ways, and I even said before things really got nasty with the whole with all the allegations and even the Cassidy thing, I said something to the effect of, surviving Diddy is probably soon to come, and then bam, here we go. And Cassie was breaking milestones. She kind of broke the dam for everything to kind of rush in all at once. So anyway, I have no real desire to tap into anything in speculation or curiosity or anything like that, because I don't even really truly believe in doing that, tapping into people's energy, celebrity or otherwise, without permission. But as I said, if things come up as a matter of fact or expression of the message, I'll share. But what I do want to say, because I've spoken about this, and if I find the message, it wasn't actually It wasn't a tarot message. It was it was either a Sunday message or it's just some other channeling that I shared without cards. And if I find it, then I may post it. And I was talking about like pretty much there being like a purging, and particularly it relates to the industry and just like societal structures. But particularly with the industry, the higher ups and all of the lieutenants and puppeteers that are affiliated and associated, it's more or less, a bit of a secret society, even kind of gives coven vibes to some degree, secretly and not so secretly as we are seeing every day. And one of the aspects that came to mind today to speak on is how I feel like, you got to consider that he's been a protected man for a long time doing what he does. And you got to know that people above him and beneath him have known all the same what he's been connected to, what he's capable of, not, hurling judgment or making him guilt before there is any due process, of course, but I'm just speaking liberally about what it looks like and probably what it may, at least in some part, unfold to be. Because one thing's for sure that we all know is when the alphabet boys come a knocking, they already have some type of case built on you, whether or not it sticks and it's the one to slam the doors behind you. It remains to be seen, but there's a reason why they feel the audacity and the confidence to kick in your doors. Okay, they ain't like the police, the local police. They have a reason. That's one thing we can all agree upon. But the thing that really bothers me about this, because it's like every man is responsible for their own actions, but it's the energies above and beyond what we're seeing that are really setting themselves up, at least so they think, to absorb the energy of these detrimental of the downfall of these stars, so to speak. So Diddy being a big face, a big energy, I feel like he's being propped up for a reason. And hell, if he allows himself to be used in integrity, he may actually have more favor in all of this than we think he does at this time. And I mean, honestly, real true favor, not just paying people off or cutting deals. I don't even think there's room for that now. I think it's at a point where Diddy probably gonna have to do some telling, some real truth telling, not in a way to just drag everybody down, even though he gives me Nino vibes, Nino Brown vibes, but he may have to do some real truth telling to exonerate himself energetically and and spiritually so at this point, for the possibility of a second chance, which is the energy that I feel I was picking up more so from yesterday's message, that it's not hopeless. It's not everybody's looking, pointing like, yeah, Diddy finally done it. But there could be a bigger picture here, a bigger fish to fry. But in that message that I'm referring to from way back, I was saying something about how these big figureheads are trying to liquidate their liabilities and their assets, and it's coming by way of people. So you got to consider there are far bigger fish that were, feeding Diddy's pond, so to speak, that may have everything to do with what's going on, but are distanced enough, at least so they think that they may not be affected by it. I don't know. We'll see how it comes out in the wash. But I feel like there's been a layer of protection up until now. So what has happened? Who has taken their hand off the wheel? Or, what's going on now all of a sudden that now people are able to just literally run down on Diddy, where he's been like a made man up until this point, completely untouchable. And what I feel like is that these industry heads are seeing that the dollars that they had invested in energy, such as Diddy, who was doing his due Diddy, more or less, kind of like almost like, let's say, the overseer of the industry plantation, just, drawing in more to for the purposes of cultivating the crop, so to speak, not to call people slaves, but we know what the industry does. He more or less was just the overseer. He ain't really the master. There are people that are on his payroll that he is paying on account of the payroll that he is also on, if that makes sense. And I spoke about how I feel like it's happening in the ways that there are these accidental deaths, drug overdoses, like all these like crazy things that we can leave up to, oh, that's just Hollywood, or people are just receiving their karma, or that's the lifestyle they live, whatever. And there may be a little truth to that, even with the Diddy thing, that we can't negate that Diddy's been doing his thing for a long time. I don't know to what extent, but even the things that we know about him, we know can be egregious, have been said to be egregious, allegedly, right? But it's the other guys that are setting themselves up to just absorb that energy, because what do you think is going to happen with all his assets if he does get pinched and thrown in prison, or you know what I mean? Like all that, first of all that money is going to roll back up to where it came from. It's not going to go to his kids, to his estate, to his baby mamas. It's not going to be dispersed to his mama, his own mama. It's not going to be dispersed to those that have helped build the brand of Sean John and Puffy and Diddy and P Diddy and all the other things, Bad Boy itself. It's not going to them, to the artists, God forbid, that actually deserve it. It's going to roll right back up and be a catch-all for the top dogs that, as that really don't truly have, shouldn't really have, shouldn't take liberty of it, is what I'm saying. And I feel like there's a bigger conspiracy, so to speak, here with how it's being done. It's happening differently to others, which is why I'm like slow to speak on it. But I feel like you got to be curious as to how and why now things are happening the way that they are. Who did you piss off? Who now stands to gain from this loss? You know what I mean? Speaking of Diddy and stars like him, people in big positions, if they can liquidate him, as these big wigs are now trying to put their investments into industries that take far less to run as machines, and don't have quite the same overhead, if you know what I mean. Like in these lower level or newer, even independent artists that don't demand as much. They just happy to play the game, and they don't even really know the game. So there's even more ways to contractually bind those that don't really know, like a vet, like a Diddy does, where they, and they've even established himself in a certain way, not to be finessed holistically. Like he got too much game now. It's like the old dog, it's like kind of time to put him out the pasture, is what I'm feeling. Not just him, but people that sit in positions such as him. It's like how back in the day, they used to have all these middle management positions in corporations, right? And then there came a point in time where they wanted to because of the turn of the economy, where a lot of companies kind of liquidated or eliminated, I should just say, that position, and they were able to pay entry level and positions at a lower rate than what they were paying the middle management, who really probably wasn't doing much anyway, but overseeing, like I said, managing, getting the, making sure things got done a certain way, a very cushy position, so to speak. But they eliminated that. Of course, there's consequence because you eliminate that chain of command. I mean, I'm not even going to get that deep into that, but ultimately, it made a way for a relief on the company's overhead and a bump in the bottom line, because now you could pay much less for perhaps even a different or maybe even higher level of education, but lesser experience per se, because that was kind of the trade-off. More people were more highly educated, going to school and for their, their bachelor's, their master's, whatever, where some of those mid-range or middle management positions were people that just have been dedicated to the company for years and years. They knew the job, they knew the ropes, they knew they had performance value and time in, but they also were expensive because they had been there so long, so they were getting the high salaries, they were being paid with the pensions and the retirement plans and the health benefits and all that, and they could wipe all of that out, start off fresh with a clean slate, and bring in the new talent that's too wet behind the ears to even really truly know what they are worthy of or what they're truly worth. You know what I mean? So that's the energy that I'm feeling here, and with this whole Diddy situation, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out and who it outs, and in the end, if at all, or if this is just a social distraction, which I don't think is simply that. It may be good for that in one regard. It like kind of does double duty, but I really feel like this is, and the thing about it is, with these energies that are trying to eliminate that middle management, eliminate their, decrease their overhead, invest their money elsewhere and more lucrative stocks and bonds, let's say, so to speak, i.e. people and parts of the industry. They're doing it and it seems like in a very shady way, because it would be harder to go through to really release somebody from their contract and things like that than it would be to just tarnish someone's reputation with hella lawsuits, or even how they tried to do Kanye. He kind of slithered his way out of that, so to speak. We think, I don't know, we don't know what new shackles he may have on him on account of getting back into business. We think it's all good, like, oh yeah, he got Adidas back, but is it really all good? That type of thing. But case in point, another big figure type of person, they slapped him with the whole anti-Semitic title, and now he's wearing that like a scarlet letter at this point, for the most part. So with the whole potential of sex trafficking or anything sexually driven, that's like a scarlet letter as well. So it's like, even if you come out completely squeaky clean or innocent or exonerated like they did Bill Cosby, it's like your character is diminished, your energy is depleted, and it's like, what good are you? You don't have the same vitality of energy that you had when you were up on top. So what I'm saying is that I feel like that's the bigger agenda that's happening here. Like, we can all point the finger at Diddy, and maybe he deserves to be a spectacle, Lord knows, but there's a bigger deal here, and it's very unfair. But what I do believe is that, as it's been coming up in many even of my messages, that even that is going to have it. That's been the case. It's not nothing new really what they're doing. It's just how they're doing it that has had to evolve, because in the age that we live in, everybody's eyes are peeled. So you can't just secretly depreciate a man to nothing who's on such a high pedestal and such a public profile, now as much as you could maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, where you could just sprinkle a little rumor, a lie or whatever, and just knock a whole man's empire down. Now there has to be a bit more of a paper trail for the things that are done for the public's sake and for the point of justification. But where I think it's going to backfire is that spirit, of course, is on a different mission, and everybody's getting used to spread the gospel in a certain type of way, in the same way that social media and publicity is kind of like a bit of a detriment. It can also be like a pulpit or a platform for testimony. And I feel like these energies that are doing these things that, in higher places that many of us don't even have privilege to know of or be connected to, are actually going to end up tearing themselves down. The backlash is going to happen in a way that is probably not quite, that was probably not quite prepared for or predicted. I don't know how that gets to be, but the one thing's for sure and two things for certain is that everybody is having to answer for their actions and their intentions in this season. It's no longer a throw this man under the bus, run and take cover and collect, $200 past go or whatever, how it goes in Monopoly. It's you just not going to buy up people's properties and, move on about your happy life. Know that backlash is coming just like it's happening in the small ways that is coming up in readings about personal, intimate affairs that have occurred and the universe is creating balance for. Is happening even at the very top of the food chain, and even more, even more an astonishing level and even more brilliant light, so as to be, as Diddy is now, an example for others, like a beacon for others to know that nobody is exempt and nobody is invincible at this time. If it can happen at the top, it can certainly happen at the so-called bottom. So for me, I see it as, I'm peeping what the possibilities may be for, for the collusion and the corruption on, as I said, a much higher and deeper scale than what we may be seeing with our own two eyes, because this is what they want us to see and to speculate on. But the reality check is that it really is a beck and call to all of us to just be careful about how we move in this time. If you've been living in integrity, then keep it up. And if you haven't, then straighten up, because it's not worth the end result. It's just not. And it don't matter how much money, clout, connection, affluence, influence, investments, properties, companies, nothing can keep you from judgment and justice when the spirit says it's time to answer for who you've been and what you've been doing. So I guess I had to say that, so I guess I won't carry on too long with the cards. If you're still here, I appreciate you. But don't be distracted by these media spectacles, because I feel like even that is part of the corruption, that they want us to be sitting around talking about, ooh, Diddy, he finally done it. You didn't did it this time, did he? Like, that's not the message here. And that's not even really, truly the spectacle. There's something more happening behind the curtain. And it's far more dark, far more corrupted, and cynical than probably any of us would actually imagine. Look, five of wands, exactly. This is the energy happening behind the scenes. Everybody fighting for their own survival, ultimately. Scrambling, trying to take each other out, making hella sacrifices. Who can we put out to pasture, maybe even to take the attention off of themselves, You know, like everybody telling on everybody, and not for the purposes of just coming clean and being honest and honorable and all that, which I hope Diddy takes that road. It's funny because I feel like he started calling himself, what was he calling himself? Diddy Love or Love, something about love. And I said in my last message something to the effect of like, Spirit, you proclaim, making a proclamation of who you are, and Spirit holding you to it and then showing you to it. It's like, I'm gonna hold you to that and now I'm gonna show you to it. How do you actually get there? You said it, not me. You want to be Mr. Love, the love doctor. Now, how do you actually live in that truth? That's the diminishing, and no coincidence that all of that crashed on yesterday, on that full moon lunar eclipse. And I'm sure there were more, stunning and shocking events that happened worldwide that we knew nothing about, on account that Diddy was taking precedence over everything. But I feel like that's the interesting part, because it's like, because he's such a powerful force, get into it. Like, think of all that he's done productively. Think of the possibilities of what he's done destructively, and what even might even be uncovered. Consider the idea that he might actually want to turn over a new leaf, and that's the catalyst for all of this chaos in his life. Because it's like, when you make a proclamation in spirit, there is an answer to that in truth. It's like, okay, this is what you want. You want to actually make a difference, do what you're supposed to do what you've been designed to do. Okay, well, now I'm going to make it so that you can, and then starts moving the pieces on the board to either out of the way or off the board altogether, so that you can actually be what you proclaim to be. I said yesterday, it's like the Spirit knows your true heart's desire. I either said that yesterday or in the new moon message on Saturday, about this transit being about really releasing yourself from commitments, contracts, partnerships, relationships that are out of alignment or in some kind of conflict with who you are organically. And I feel like that's the biggest spectacle of it. And what I was going to say is that, given how much of an impact Biggie, ooh, my bad, much of an impact Diddy has made on culture, he could equally be used to make just as great of an impression in his highest vibration, if he would be willing to be, reformed and revised, maybe even resurrected in some degree, to actually be used in that regard, truly. So as much of as it may look like a takedown, like I said, if he gets in there and really starts walking in integrity, it could look like something completely different than what we anticipate, for the sake of universal order, to really use him to balance the scales and on a much greater place than just, him paying for this and that and that and this. There'll probably be a lot of that too. Don't get me wrong now. But the spiritual impact and impression has far more, a far greater potential than anything material. And that message alone could be made clear in however this gets to play out. Yeah, here's the truth force here. It might be a lot of ladies speaking some, I don't know, like it could be a lawyer, it could be witnesses, it could be so-called energies that are credible witnesses to whatever this battle may be, like somebody that's credible enough to speak to it in a way that is believable, confounding to some degree, that is honorable and integral. Let's see. I ain't mean for this to turn into a damn Diddy reading. But like I said, take it as a bigger picture that it resonates as, because it does. It's not really about him, actually. Page of Cups. Oh, that could be like an offer or a plea. Like somebody trying to cop a plea or an apology or some emotional, but it's not quite developed though. So this could be even like I really don't want to get into, but it could be him speaking to his legal counsel and considering his options. But it doesn't look like the options are vast or grand. And maybe what he's willing to offer in terms of an exchange at this point in time, it doesn't seem like it would measure, like it seems like there's more collusion and corruption to answer to than what he may initially want to offer to speak on. Because obviously culturally, and this is where it's really going to be the challenge, is answering to culture and you know, society, like publicly, on the whole, like snitching and not snitching, you know, all that type of stuff, or actually being honest as to what, not only really what he's been doing, but like I said, those above him have been doing. And that's what I was saying. I don't think I quite finished that. It's like what they thought, the problems that they thought they may be creating for him, it probably backfired into a much greater issue for them than they anticipated. Because like I said, where are his assets going to roll up to? So it was thought. But if you're just as much of a suspect or implicated in matters as he is, then you really aren't available to collect at all, unless there's some collusion between the law enforcement, the justice system, and these big businesses where there is, and I wouldn't be surprised by this. Now, this is definitely a corruptive thought and a conspiracy thought. But if there's some collusion between those entities where they make the busts, you know, they build the case and make the bust, and then everybody eats off of the downfall, meaning they all kind of get a kickback off of, you know, that would take a hell of a lot to pull off. But hell, in this country, stranger things have happened. Okay, so just remember I said that. You know, but that's the only way that I could see it really working for everyone. Otherwise, law enforcement has a job to do, and most of the time they be hating on people that just have money and lavish lifestyles so hard that it'd be their pleasure to take the big wigs on down with the middleman, you know, because in the grand scheme of things, we think he's big, but for those that he's affiliated with and connected to, he's a small fry, a small fish to fry, as I said, with that fish in the cup. But it's not going to pan out the way that they think. That one thing I know for sure. Either they will have exposed themselves in the collusion by default, or they will have overplayed their hand because they won't have access to what they think they're going to have access to in terms of his assets and his estate. Or he may surprise everyone, override his pride and the expectation of culture, and really just get real with what's been going on. Or the whole operation will get exposed if it's as deep as I just said, where everybody's getting a little piece of the pie, or there's some corruption within the system to the point where enough people are in on it that you can grease a couple palms. And like I said, mystically, all of his money and assets will be rolled up into some account where others will, secretly benefit, in the way that I feel like they're poaching Wendy Williams for, where if something happens to her, her son's not going to get that money. They'll be fighting in court for the rest of his life. And by that time, it'll be gone. They will have figured out a way to, oh, she owed this and she owed that and this was in debt and child. But it has to stop somewhere, because it's not only just to diminish him. It's what's been going on for far too long, just completely desecrating whole legacies. Now, there are certain things that he may be in judgment to pay retribution for on account of his acts, certainly. And that may be everything, who knows? But what it's not is for the taking for those that have been just as guilty, if not more so, than he is, and probably introduced him to the things that he's been doing. Because 9 times out of 10, that's what really happens. The corruption is from the top down. And then these energies get comfortable in it, think they got a friend up in, the big office, and all that they're doing is really capturing information and hoarding intel for the moment they may need it, if at all, to finally bring you down. Or make you submit to whatever their will may be. And now it's just a time where that's not even lucrative anymore. It's much more lucrative to just kind of eliminate the cost altogether and then absorb that return. But it ain't going to go down like that. It's not going to be that simple. Life is too. Yeah, like exactly. Look at this. Here's the judge, or some higher up in the establishment. It could also be, like I said earlier, giving coven vibes or secret society. Like these are heads of companies that you don't even know. You don't even know who these people are. They don't even really want to be known. They're just making money off of the little man. The middleman and the little man, however it trickles down and trickles back up, is all that really matters to them. They don't want to be seen or known. They don't want to be celebrities. But they're going to be, even here up under this Queen of Swords. It's like everybody from the top down. You thought you was creating a sacrifice here? No. You were making yourself a sacrifice. Everyone from the top down is going to be exposed and held accountable for whatever this is, whatever it is. And now it's too far gone. It's not even going to be as simple as a matter of, just call the whole thing off, cut your losses. It's like, nope, now everybody's going to have to answer for it, one way or another. And even if everybody don't end up in trial, like I said, it's going to backfire in such a tremendous way that people are not going to be able to rebound from it. They're going to feel like, damn, we wish we would have just left his ass alone and figured out another way to make our coin, let him be great. But it's all it's all karmic. It's all within universal balance for it to happen just like this. It's like these would be the energies that would ultimately catch each other up in some way, shape, or form. Because like I said, most people don't even know who these people are. Usually so protected and so high up on the food chain that you wouldn't even know where to start to dig for dirt. But guess who does know where the bodies are buried? This one right here. Oh, he knows. And I feel as though he gonna be telling. And I would, wow. He knows. And I feel like Lord preserve him if he is really going to do some good with his energy, because I feel like he's going to surprise a lot of people, and he's going to eventually give up the tape on whatever it is that they want to know. He's going to become a mouthpiece for that and then some. And I wouldn't hold none of it against him. You know, culture might, but I wouldn't. Especially if it was really a matter of integrity. Yeah, it's like this was probably him trying to get away. Or did he? That's the question at hand. It's like, did he actually go? Somebody said he did leave. I don't know. Who knows? But either way, he ain't getting far. This is definitely a reckoning that will be answered for in some way, shape, or form. But, you know, I feel like he would have wanted to walk away, or did try. Oh, he may have tried to walk away from some contract or some commitment that he was indebted to or binded to. And it was like, oh, no, you don't. Get right on back here. And even, like I said, however far or disconnected he became, this was the measure that was taken to kind of try to like trip him up, so that, you know, you not with us, you against us type of energy. You know how it is with these secret, well, maybe you don't, but with these secret covens and cults and crap, it's like a gang, like blood in, blood out. You're not just going to leave with all our secrets, you know, knowing everything that we've been doing and everything that's been going on behind the curtain. You're either going to have to take the fall or be completely eliminated. And that's why I said, like, I hope it doesn't come to that. But the way that they assassinate your character, or at least try to, which usually works, is good enough. But I just don't think it's going to have the same effect. Like, Diddy is different. We can say what we want to say, but Diddy is different. And if he will answer to the true difference in his life and on his life, now it'll be up to him. Like, if he's still trying to cut backroom deals and, you know, play by these underworld rules, feeling like there may be actually like a way up and out of this situation, then it's not going to work out in his favor. The only true passageway out safely is if he's going to be willing to be honest. And that doesn't mean that we all need to know exactly like what's been going on, like he got to spill the beans publicly, but in a way that is integral and justified, that brings justice beyond, for those that have been vulnerable to whatever this may be, and for those that have been the victimizers in some way, shape, or form, whatever that means or whatever that looks like. Meaning like some big names, some big wigs, some, yeah, like it's not going to be what they thought. It's not. If I, you know, because sometimes I could see more in people than what than what they see for themselves. But if what I see is proper and his perspective clears up, because that's the thing, it's a personal choice here, right? And it's a hard one to make, because you're contending with your lower nature here of maybe still wanting to be relevant, not wanting to be exposed, maybe fearing for your life, fearing for your prosperity, your livelihood, the empire that you built. you know, fearing for who you may owe or be indebted to, and what power they have over you or impact they may have on your life, fearing what people say, fearing the fall from grace or a diminishing of pride, which is probably the biggest buzzkill of all for him, is for him to be brought down humbly to size, to really reckon with who he's been. That's a hard pill to swallow, and everybody's not up for the challenge. So if he is, like my message yesterday, it still stands for this case and beyond. If you can actually just stand on, 10 toes down and be true to what you created and whatever the balance and harmony that the universe may judge should be, you would have the support to make it through, to get through whatever that sentencing may possibly pan out to then be a testimony, a true testimony of resilience. And I feel like that's far more valuable to the light than it is to the dark, which is why I feel like there's support in that regard, there's security, as I said, in integrity. But otherwise, it's like the darkness is going to eat them up alive. Even though they don't know they're feasting on themselves, it doesn't matter, because if you continue to let yourself be used by this lower frequency, it will use you, and it will allow you, it makes you vulnerable to be used otherwise by others that don't have good intentions. And little do they know that they're also being feasted on as well. That's the energy here with the devil card. It's like everybody is binding themselves, whether they know it or not. The more that there is like resistance to the truth here. Let's just get a couple more and I'm out. I'm sorry, guys. I did not mean for this to turn into a Diddy round table discussion or square table discussion. Oh, there's another page. Oh, and I just picked it up upside down. It didn't fall that way, though. I gotta be honest. I saw it when I looked down, it was right side up. But how did I end up picking it up upside down? I'm gonna take it that way because that was weird. I don't know how that happened. So the powers that be are trying to diminish any possibility of a new beginning or fresh start. This card actually came up yesterday as well too, but in the upright, the Page of Wands, for somebody to have a new inspiration, a rebirth, almost like a new invitation to expand. It feels like a start over, but if someone can see it in the most positive light, then it becomes the most positive thing. But the whole point of yesterday's message was about perspective and choice. So I hope this doesn't mean that, he's not willing to see the the potential of his possibilities in the most upright way of a new beginning, because it's still holding on to the past. This came out in a struggle, that for sure. It was like kind of sideways, which means he may be having, of course, like understandably, some contention between what to do at this point, how to really proceed forward. That's going to have all the effect on what that page, the true position of that Page of Wands. Is it upright or is it reversed? Oh, man. I don't know. Oh, no. I'm honestly, y'all pray for Diddy, because this is giving suicidal vibes, or God forbid, but I just rebuke that if it's interference to create that narrative, or that to stage that narrative, I should say, on account of trying to protect, you know what I mean, that would be eliminated, that would be destroyed, dismantled, disengaged, whatever the case may be, that it wouldn't be so. But it comes down to what hands he trusts himself in at this time. I don't think he can really trust anybody. This is like a Unturned type of moment. And even his damn lawyers, like, if you, I don't know, it might be even something with that, because I know that they had said he secured these like top defense attorneys. They might not even want to, there may be something that happens with that once all the whole nature of the case comes forth, where they may not, I don't know if you can do that, like not want to even take the case, or you know what I mean, like, oh, I don't even want to touch this. So I don't know, but this Five of Cups is giving energy of someone that is depressed enough, particularly with the Page of Wands in reverse, that they don't want to wake up. They don't see a new beginning. They don't see any hope. So why even continue on? That's the energy here. I mean, oh, that's too many, but let's see. That's too many, but yeah, look at this. Like somebody feeling out in the cold. So, Queen of Pentacles and the Star card. Definitely some healing needed here. Queen of Pentacles, that could be any one of his children's moms. She could be Cassie. You know, like that, I don't know, that has a great deal to gain. Not to take anything away from her experience, because I'm not here for that, but that people that have a great deal to gain from his demise. And that it wouldn't be hard to win them over to the prosecution side, because as I also said yesterday, he's made a lot of enemies. Yeah, look at this. Two of Swords. Where's the Two of Swords, though? That might be him feeling like, or it could be with secret witnesses. But she ain't seeing nothing with the blindfold on with this Two of Swords, so that would be kind of strange, right? Chariot. I think these might be so-called victims. Or though I hate to call people victims, you know, but that's giving police right there with the Chariot. Or some type of agent. So it could be, you know, as a matter of fact, I think in a lot of the lawsuits, they're labeling the victims, or the accusers, I guess I should say, as John Does, and there's one John Doe and there's some Jane Does, I think. So maybe that's that there. but he knows that they got the swords, you know, that whomever it is, he has to know what it's hitting for, and would know just by name alone that these are energies that really could do some damage. We may not know who they are or see who they are, or he could not know. Maybe, you know, their identity is secured in some way, shape, or form, maybe even to him, but they got the ammunition is what I'm sensing here. They got the ammunition, the credibility, and the motivation to really make a deep impact, to move this case forward or this investigation forward. Maybe that's what has moved the investigation forward. I don't know. I'm done with this. The point is that regardless of why this is happening now, how this is happening now, what the true catalyst is, one thing's for sure is those that have been vulnerable or victimized, so to speak, by whatever the acts were or the occurrences were, will be justified, and anyone that has been an offender or a victimizer in any way, shape, and form will also be justified accordingly. So, yeah, Knight of Wands, that's reckless behavior. What's this? What's under it? Damn, a lot of kids too. We got the page. I hope his kids don't get too. I know they were arrested too, but I hope they don't get swept up into this. And I mean, his boys are grown, so we say kids, but they're really not kids. But I hope that they don't get swept up or weren't actually swept up into this mess on account of just exposure and environment, you know. Because we got the Page of Cups, we got the Page of Wands in reverse, now we got the Page of Swords, and the Knight of Wands, which is still a young energy. Shoot, it could even be the kids having to bear witness against their father in some type of way with the Page of Swords, with them being, you know, I'm sure privileged to more than the average would know, intimately so. And if this is just the expression of I would say, I was about to say underdeveloped passion, but it could also be perverted passion. I've actually seen it that way before in the adverse. And this could be the witness bearing to all of the acts that would ultimately lead to prosecution or investigation or whatever the case may be. Like they got enough. This is witness right here, an observer, and it's someone intimate, someone close that is credible, and maybe somebody that's been working, or definitely someone that would add value to whatever it is they're trying to accomplish here, whatever that is. There's definitely, I would say, at least from law enforcement and from the justice system, there is an expectation for victory with whatever this is. And I suppose we'll just see how that unfolds probably more sooner than later, because it's such a damn spectacle that we probably won't see years and years of delay like we see for every damn body else. For regular people just sitting waiting for their day in court, it's probably going to be something that's played out in a bit of an accelerated way than the norm. So anyway, I do not plan to be tapping into this much. I promise you. It just kind of came out. I felt like I had something to say that to me was far more important than Diddy or the news itself, himself or itself. And then it just took over the message. So again, it's not just about him. It's a warning shot. You know, it's a wake-up call. It's an invitation. Like I said, if you've been in integrity, stay in integrity. If you haven't been, find your way to it. Figure out how you can make amends with, and make amends on infractions in your life, if at all possible at this point. But certainly just please stop whatever you're doing that you know is out of alignment, because I'm telling you, in this day and age, top down, no one is exempt and no one is invincible. We all must be held accountable for our choices. So I'm going to leave this here. Thank you for listening and watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.